Starlog episode 13, everybody. I may not be here with Michael, but I do have two very special guests. We got Blake from Blake's Takes. I'm sure you've seen him all over TikTok. And we got Daniel, also from TikTok, Instagram. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. It's great to be here.
Always happy to be
Nice.
talking to you.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys doing this. We're kind of testing the waters, trying something new. So definitely let us know if you guys like this type of content, if you want to see more of this roundtable style. But basically, we have kind of representation from three different parts of film TikTok. So we're probably gonna have a really great conversation. I'm excited to get into it first, so that everybody can kind of get to know you guys. I feel like Letterbox is like the really basic way to do it, but I'm starting to really get into Letterbox and starting to use it more. So that's how we're gonna do this. um, just let me know what your four Letterbox favorites are. I will go ahead and start to kind of get things kicked off, and so you guys don't need to feel bad. My Letterbox favorites are basic as hell. So
Let's hear it.
first thing I have, and this most people are surprised to hear this, but Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire is one of my favorite movies. It's my favorite in the Harry Potter franchise, and I think a lot of people dislike the film, but I love it. So that's one. I of course have Spider-Man 2. If you know me from Big Screen Bearcon, you know how much I love Spider-Man. So Spider-Man 2 is on there. Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, by far the best Star Wars movie. That movie changed my life as a child. I still love it so much. I mean, I'll watch it every year at least 4 times. And then lastly, I know the trend is to hate on this film, but I love Spider-Man No Way Home still. Like I know people like watched it
Really?
in theaters and they're like, "Oh, it was only good in theaters, but when you watch it outside of theaters, it's terrible." Like, listen, I know the writing is terrible. Like I know, I'm not oblivious to it. But all I ever wanted was a movie with Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, and Andrew Garfield. And I've asked for this for years, and I feel like I'm betraying the movie gods by saying I don't like No Way Home because they gave me exactly what I wanted. And it's now just like my ultimate comfort film. Like I watch it when I'm sick, just having a bad day, need some creative inspiration. I'll watch No Way Home, and it's still like I'm on like watch 33 or something, and I still love it.
You know what's crazy is I haven't watched that movie outside of theaters because I saw it in theaters
Same.
like 3 times. And so I got my viewings of it, but I haven't viewed it outside of the theaters.
I feel like No Way Home is just like I know what you're saying like it is like of course it is a fun watch. It's like an amazing time for anybody who watched it for the first time. But
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
it's like the way I described it, it's like it's more of a roller coaster ride or like a theme park attraction than a film. You know what I mean? Because it's like
Yeah, no,
Like Martin Scorsese.
yeah, it's
yeah.
like it's an event. It's 100%
It's
an
an event.
event.
Yeah, watching in
And
It
movie theaters is
is.
like, whoa. But like I feel like I'm not inclined to like sit down and watch it and the whole way through. Maybe I'll watch like I'll like maybe YouTube like the final fight or whatever, but like I don't know. Like I'm not gonna watch the whole film because it's like
And
you know.
listen, I
Hmm.
get it. Like I said, I understand like technically there's a lot of flaws in that movie. I totally understand that, but for me, I think the first time you experience a movie, I think that has a really big lasting effect. And so I think the way you watch a movie definitely goes into how much you enjoy it. And nostalgia, people like to use nostalgia as like a bad thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with nostalgia. So I don't know. No Way Home's definitely my happy. It's my favorite movie despite all its flaws, just because of how it still makes me feel. So I appreciate it. Daniel, why don't you tell us your four on Letterbox?
Well, I don't have a Letterboxd, but if
Okay.
I were to have one,
If you were to have a Letterbox, what would
I
your
were to
four favorite movies be?
um I'd say number one, Lilo and Stitch. I'm really interested to see how the live action turns out, which is supposed to come out this year, but I feel like we haven't heard that much about it.
I don't know
Um,
why that just made my heart so happy. I really don't.
no, I love Lilo and Stitch. Like I genuinely think like I actually think it's the best written Disney movie of all time, and it is just like it is really,
Whoa.
really good. Like and it gets better the more like over time. Like it really does. And the older you get, the more you enjoy it, in my opinion.
Do you think
Um,
the Disney Channel like series and those spin-offs only add to it or take away from it?
I like the series a lot. I think the series adds to it. Um, just because it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many aliens. The second one, it's weird. People forget that there's three movies. Um,
Yeah, what Stitch has a glitch, right?
well, hear me out. There's like an iceberg effect with Lilo and Stitch. There's the Lilo and Stitch movie, which everyone's seen. It's a series that everyone has seen. A lot of people don't know there's a second movie, which is Stitch has a glitch,
Yeah.
which is actually not a good movie at all. I thought I liked it because I watched it as a kid. I remember liking it, but I rewatched it like a year ago, and it was just not a good movie.
I think
It's
like
just like,
Stitch's like fake death scene though still holds up, right? I mean, it still's got
yeah,
some emotional weight.
it's just an ad for the show. Like if you watch it, it's like,
That's
oh,
true.
it's just like
That's
supposed.
true.
It's just
It's a
marketing for the
it's a
series.
Megamind 2.
It is the Megamind 2 of Lilo and
Yeah,
Stitch.
I didn't even know there was a show.
Yeah, and then there's a third movie which is like Leroy, which is pretty good. That one's not bad. But then there's an anime. There's
I
like
did hear about the anime.
yeah, it's Stitch where he goes to Japan and like it's like straight up an anime with like anime characters and it's like I actually watched that one as a kid on TV and I actually really liked that one too. And what most people don't know is that there's a third one. There's a third TV series with a third girl where he goes, I don't even remember what country it is, but he goes somewhere else. I think it might be China. I think it is China. Um, and like yeah, he goes to China and like meets a girl there and they do go on adventures, which is really funny. But yeah, the first movie is my favorite movie of all time.
Wow.
Um,
Learn something new about Dan every day.
well, another one of my favorite movies of all time is I don't know if you guys have seen it. 500 Days of Summer is
Mhm.
insane. It is a romance movie. Um, but it's like the whole premise around it is that it's supposed to be like the most realistic romance movie. And I'm not going to spoil, but like the way it ends and the way it's portrayed and is like so realistic to dating in real life where if you're especially if you're a guy or if you've ever been heartbroken in your life like watching this movie is like man there's no BS in it there's no like oh my gosh they fall in love and everything is like no like it is so good and it's my like it's always such a good recommendation for me.
I love
um
that. That's so sweet.
yeah, you should watch it. I mean, it's not a sweet movie. Like, it's not a movie that you
No,
watch
I
with
meant like your
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 girlfriend.
reasoning was so sweet. You're hitting me with all this like all these like wholesome like reasons, and I love it.
And I'm gonna pass it off to Blake because I need a minute to think about my three and four. So,
I go
All
for it,
right.
Blake.
Well, first off, I feel like this is almost an impossible question. Like every time someone asks me what is my favorite movie of all time,
Hmm.
like my four favorite on Letterbox is always changing. It's always changing.
That's fair.
Um,
That's super
yeah.
fair.
But to be honest, to start it off, the movie that I did officially claim as my favorite movie of all time not too long ago, uh, and I've been a fan since day one of it, and I've seen it so many times, but it's actually going to be La La Land.
really?
Really?
Yeah, and that is the last movie that I expected for me to love. Like, I'm not a huge musical guy, but I think it's just Damien Chazelle and his directing and, the music. He always works with what's his name? Justin something, but the music is always great in his movies. Huge fan of Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. I think they have tremendous chemistry together. There's just something about that movie that really works. And kind of going
Hmm.
back to what Daniel was saying about, how realistic it can feel because it does have romance in it as well. And just there is a very realistic feeling to the romance aspect of it. And, sometimes partners having to just like they're in their lives for a reason, but that
Hmm.
doesn't always mean they're going to end up with each other, and they have to sacrifice something for each other to pursue their dreams. It just has a very realistic feel to it. But love the colors and the music, and yeah, it's a perfect movie to me,
Dog, if
which
you
I never
like
would have
La
thought.
La Land, if you like La La Land for those reasons, you gotta watch 500 Days, bro.
Yeah, I agree.
It is
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
you know what's funny?
you'll love it.
I think my girlfriend not too long ago was like, "Have you seen 500 Days?" So I'm like, "No, I don't want to watch a romance movie right now." But
Oh,
now
bro,
I got
it's
Not
to.
in the
so
mood.
good.
That's awesome. Well, listen, I gotta tell you really quick before you give us your other films. La La Land, I think will always have a special place in my heart because so to those who don't know, maybe you guys don't know, I do I audition for things all the freaking time. My very first
Hmm.
film I ever auditioned for, um, it ended up being like a 5 month process. It was for this comedy, and I kept getting called back for the lead. And finally it got to the point where I had to go to LA for like a final like test
Hmm.
thing. Uh, and that was when La La Land was in theaters, and I went to go see it in the historic Chinese theater. And I think one thing I always took away from La La Land was Emma Stone's character, the constant
Yep.
rejection and the constant just emotional journey she went through trying to make it and how long it
Hmm.
took her. But eventually she does make it. That was such an important movie from that side of things for me to watch, especially in that time in my life when I was just kind of starting that journey. And I think it really helped me because when I ultimately was rejected for the film, um, I just always think of Emma Stone and La La Land now. So
No, yeah, 100% agree. Because I guess we're gonna get all personal now too.
ooh boy.
But but no, yeah, I agree with you with Emma Stone's character, and I feel like even though I haven't really pursued the acting dreams that I love being on camera. I've done a few extra castings for like commercials here in Orlando, but that's always been something deep back in the back of my mind is like, yeah, I do want to be on a movie set one day
It's
as an actor.
incredible.
Right.
It
And it was almost like a way of living vicariously through Emma Stone's character and like just the sacrifice that it does take to really achieve your dreams. And it is a movie that I feel like hits hard for a lot of people on a personal level.
yeah, 100%. Do you got any other movies on top of your head?
Yeah. Another one that's always a shoe in for me is going to be the original Halloween movie. I owe that,
Interesting.
yeah, owe that movie everything because that is the movie that did start my love for the horror genre. I was always terrified of the horror genre when I was growing up as a kid. Didn't want anything to do with scary movies. I thought there wasn't really much to them. Like, why do I want to be scared? Why is that fun? But as soon as I sat down and watched the Halloween movies, it just really opened up my mind to the horror genre, the slasher genre. And ever since then, now the horror genre is my favorite. So, and I owe that to the movie Halloween for sure.
I didn't
Next,
I
realize
didn't know that
how
about you.
okay.
yeah.
I didn't realize how big of a community there was for like horror movies. Like until I joined
Hmm.
TikTok and like see like of course like Evan Solo is like one of the biggest like horror movie TikTokers and like I didn't realize there was just such a big like crowd for it. Like I'll be
Oh
honest, like
yeah.
I it's just, I like I respect like it's not my thing. Because maybe I just haven't given it a chance enough, but like it's just so interesting to me. I'm like, man, there's so many like horror movie fans.
I'm still
Hmm.
trying to like dip my feet into it. I'm one of those like I am terrified of being scared.
Right.
And
Now
I
it's
know
like an
like
adrenaline rush show. It's like an adrenaline rush at
yeah,
this
yeah,
point.
it really is though. And like I know when I worked with Universal Studios, shameless plug. When I worked with Universal Studios for their Halloween Horror Nights, I was like sweating buckets.
Mm,
And what I've learned though is my like fear reflex is laughter. And so there is like a fun like adrenaline with that.
mhm.
So I do kind of want to push that a little bit more and watch some get into horror films a little bit. And I know a lot of my followers ask about it, and I just feel bad saying I'm sorry, I don't have anything for you.
Halloween Horror Nights is great. I
It's
love it now.
crazy. It is
It is.
crazy.
All
My
right.
goodness.
So last two is going to be tricky because I feel like there's just so many. You know, when it comes to directors, Quentin Tarantino is definitely the first one that I really, really
Hmm.
got into, and I think his best one is Inglourious Basterds. So I feel like we'll put that on this list. Again, this list is fluid.
It's fluid. To
It's
quote the
fluid.
Stephen A.
It's
Smith,
fluid.
it's
Yep,
fluid.
yep.
It's
The
fluid.
list is fluid. Um, but I do think that is his best movie. And then for number four, man, I could be a toss up between three. So as of right now, we'll kind of stick with some new movies. Oppenheimer and Dune Part Two.
Ooh.
I don't know. I don't know.
Should
And
we
then
accuse you of recency bias?
you can do what you want. I don't care because I'm gonna glaze this movie. I'm gonna glaze the hell out of it. And then
It's
another
deserved. It is deserved. It's a
is so
great
deserved.
movie.
And another horror movie that I think has really, again, opened my mind to the horror genre and the different subgenres to it is the Italian horror movie Suspiria, Dario Argento movie. And just that 1970s giallo style of horror films. It was one that we watched in film school. And, I feel like a lot of the times when you do watch movies in film school, uh, it might be time to just take a little snooze, maybe need to catch up on sleep. But we watched this movie in class, and ever since then, it just really caught my attention between the music, the production design, and started, watching more foreign films after that as well. So owe a lot to Suspiria as well.
You went to film school?
Yeah.
Nice, fancy.
What'd you do? Like, what was like your thing there?
Well, I went to film school at UCF, and there was two different programs. There was like the film BA program and then the film BFA. The BFA you had to apply and get accepted into, which they only accepted like 30 students per semester. And that was more of like hands-on, like if you want to be a director.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
but so it was a lot of like classes, sound design, editing, history of film, pretty typical stuff. It's not like, your UCLA or USC film school. But
No, that's dope. That's
yeah,
dope.
That's really, yeah, that is really cool.
yeah, but a great opportunity that I did get to have through UCS Film School was a program that they had, a creative producing program that they had through UCLA. So over one summer, I did go out to UCLA, study some classes out there, as well as do a internship at a production company out in LA as well. So that
Sick.
was a great time. I wouldn't change it for anything. So it was a great experience.
That is incredible. Hey, I meant to ask you, Blake, did you ever get a producing credit for Don't Trip?
I don't know. Is it out?
I don't think it's out. I don't
I
think it's
don't think
out.
so.
But I saw, so just some context, was it last summer? And this is how Blake and I met. We
Yeah.
were approached to help crowdfund for a horror film called Don't Trip,
Indie horror film.
indie horror film. But
Yep.
I honestly I forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then the poster for the film came up on my
Yeah.
Instagram feed.
I
And I
saw
looked
that.
at the cat. The cast is actually really, it's crazy. Of course, I'm
I
like
mean,
blanking on the name. So I was like, you go look up the
yeah.
cast for Don't Trip. I'm proud of how far that film actually came.
Yeah, I don't know how quickly they would like attach a producing name to it, but I want to say it might come out in like April or something. Either way, I better see it. And at the end of the credits, I just better see my name there.
Just want a special thanks. That's all. I felt like the
Uh-huh.
$100 I helped raise for the film really, really put it over the edge.
Oh man.
All right.
That was
Well,
some work too.
it was but you know what? I really enjoyed the script, so it's gonna be a good one for sure.
I did too.
So we briefly mentioned Stephen A. Smith, and that's kind of so the idea of this roundtable thing is kind of to bring the whole successful debate style show that's really prominent in the sports world and bring it into kind of like our bubble. And so the next few topics, they may be a little bit more of the debate side of things. Heck, we may all agree with each other. Who knows?
Yeah.
But things may be said, things might get stirred. It's all love. I don't really anticipate anybody hating each other after this, but should be a good time. So we're gonna go ahead now that we know where everybody stands with the films they enjoy, the reasons why they enjoy films. I feel like that's a good kind of indication of maybe a good backstory into some reasons behind some answers you may give momentarily. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with some favorite hot takes, right? So who wants to start? Do you guys want me to start? Do you guys want to start? How do you want to do this?
Go for it.
All right, I'm starting. All right, so
All right.
I feel like I don't intentionally spit out hot takes, but I feel like I've been told I have a lot of hot takes, and I definitely have them for any genre you want to throw up. But I think the one that I'm most passionate about right now, because I did just watch Dune Part 2 and I loved it, there's a big discourse online. I don't know if discourse is the right word to use for this, but there's a big
Think so.
debate conversation about, is Dune Part 2 one of the greatest sequels of all time? And the movies that people are comparing it to, I've seen The Dark Knight, The Godfather, the big one, Empire Strikes Back,
Mhm.
and that kind of brings me to my hot take. I don't think Empire Strikes Back is actually one of the greatest films of all time. I don't even think it's in the Star Wars top 5, if I'm being honest with you.
Oh shit.
I know I'm coming at it a little bit hot, but listen, I've already said Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars movie. And I want to be clear, Empire Strikes Back is a good movie. I don't think overrated means a movie is bad. But I can name, so I feel like the more Star Wars grows, the less I actually find myself caring about Empire Strikes Back. And I'm
Interesting.
sorry, but I just think there's so much that's done better. And it partially comes to like I think a lot of people are attached to the big
The
moments of Empire
twist.
Strikes Back, the twists. And to me, I already personally think, and maybe this is a bonus hot take for you guys, I already think the way to watch Star Wars is 1 through 9, not 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8,
Hmm.
9. I don't agree with the machete way. I think you should watch it 1, 2, 3, enjoy Anakin's arc, and then be on the edge of your seat wondering when Luke's going to figure it out. Like
Mm.
when the audience likes knowing things
Hmm.
before the main characters do. And I think if you don't know anything about Star Wars, Anakin Skywalker's arc is a lot more heartbreaking than and a bigger payoff than I think the I am your father moment. So that's my hot take.
Interesting. I will say, uh, not as hot of a take as you, but I do like Return of the Jedi better than Empire
I
Strikes
also like
Back.
Return of the Jedi more than Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. I would much rather rewatch Return of the Jedi than Empire Strikes Back.
Maybe it's just because I watched that one a lot when I was a kid, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I went and saw it in theaters last year when they re-released it for the 40-year anniversary,
Yeah.
and I just love the emotions in that one.
Mm-hmm.
And the final fight was better to me as well. I don't know. I like that one.
Yeah. I just think I think rewatchability is a big thing for me. Like I need to be able to sit down and rewatch a film over and over and over again. Like to me, if that's going to be my favorite movie, if that's going to be a great
Hmm.
movie, I think that's important. Like if a movie is something you can only watch a few times and then you're done with it, how great is it actually? And that's something I'm curious about with Dune Part 2 is if I
Right.
rewatch it, how I'm going to feel. So I'm hoping to rewatch it soon.
Well,
Um,
and here's some that me and my brother actually just talked about on our Dune review is, everyone's kind of complaining. I mean, there's a group out there that's complaining about how much people are praising Dune Part 2. All these TikTokers are glazing it and
mhm.
all that. And I'm like, you know what? These are the same people that if they were alive during the Empire Strikes Back, if they were alive or had social
Yeah,
media during the time that Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers were coming out, is it the same people that would be saying we're glazing those movies as well?
100%. 100%.
But to be honest,
It's like,
I don't remember the last time I've seen a movie be glazed this much. Like it's like
It
I'll
may
be
have been
honest,
no
like
it may have been No Way Home.
Oppenheimer.
but No Way Home was different.
Oh,
I don't
Oppenheimer
think
definitely
Oppenheimer
maybe.
got this much glazing. I don't know.
You don't think so?
I did not see it. Because people are like I'm seeing this everywhere, being like Dune Part 2 is the best movie ever. Blah, blah, blah. Like Oppenheimer was like really good. People were thinking that's cinema, but like
Hmm.
they were more praising Oppenheimer as like in an artistic way rather than like this is the greatest thing of all time, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I think I definitely glazed Dune Part 2 significantly more than I did Oppenheimer. But again, so this is all just part. So I have like a rule. It's like a 3 watch rule, right? The first
Hmm.
time, take everything I say with a grain of salt. The first time I watch it, believe everything I say after the third time I've seen it, because
Hmm.
that's when you truly kind of like the honeymoon
Yep.
phase is over. This is
Yeah.
exactly what it is.
Hmm.
Um, so
Yep. I'm gonna
we'll
go
see
see
how
it
Dune.
I'm gonna see it for a third time this week, actually.
Yeah, let me know.
Crazy.
You're gonna put it to the test. I don't know if I
Uh-huh.
have it in me to see it 3 times in theaters. I don't know. The second rewatch is going to be so key for me because when I watched Dune Part 2, it was very much, I was like, I heard all of the hype around it. And this is part of the reason why I think all its praises deserve. I heard all the hype about it. This was probably the most aware I've been going into a movie about how good it's supposed to be. And I was just sitting there the whole time thinking, okay, when's it going to hit? Like, when's it going to hit? Is it like now? Is this the moment? And then I won't spoil it, but there's like there's a moment where it's very obvious like there's a shift
Yeah,
Like
I think we
everything
know the moment.
changes. And then after that, it just you I can't even like comprehend word. I can't even comprehend. And it's to me, I like came out and I was like, okay, it was worth every second of waiting just to get to that point. And I'm curious if it's going to change how I watch it a second time now that I know, and I can just kind of appreciate everything else a little bit more.
Find out.
Yeah, we'll see. But anyway, Empire Strikes Back, great movie, but overrated.
All right, Daniel, you want to go?
Um, hot take, hot take.
I still can't. I still haven't tested if Toy Story 4 is actually better than
That's
Toy
I was
Story
about to
3.
say like that's probably what I'm like
Oh,
most
did I
passionate
steal? I'm
about.
sorry.
No, you're good. I literally was about to say it, but I'm like, oh, I've already talked about this with Berkan. Yeah, I mean, I think Toy Story 4 is a better sequel than Toy Story 3. And the reason I say that is because when you ask people, is when I say that and when people respond, they're like, "Oh my God!" But the ending scene of Toy Story 3 when Andy said bye, and I'm just like, "Yeah, that was good," but that's like all you talk about. Like, that's like all people talk about the movie. They don't bring up like anything else. And the reason for that is because like nothing else in the film is like as memorable. If you watch the movie again, it's like really slow paced in the school as a prison scene. Like you're just watching it and you're just waiting for the last scene. Like if you rewatch it, you're just waiting for the last scene because it is like obviously the best scene and it's a very good scene, but it's like it's just it carries the movie so bad. While Toy Story 4 is genuinely a very good movie the whole way through, and it is like so funny. Like I genuinely laughed at the movie like wholeheartedly throughout all of it. And the ending is super good too, and it is also just as sad as the ending is Toy Story 3. I feel like, and this is like also a bonus hot take. I feel like Toy Story 3 has the same effect as Up because I also think Up is overrated.
Oh
Not
yeah,
because it's a
I'm with you
bad
there.
movie, but like when people glaze Up, they're like, "Oh my God, the first scene was Ellie, the wedding scene," and it's like
Downhill from there.
yeah, it's like you don't talk about anything else. That's all that's there. It carries the whole movie, and it's like I don't know. I feel like yeah, it's like is it just one amazing scene that carries a movie? No, it's like so it's like yeah, I don't know. I think Toy and that's why I think Toy Story 3 and Up are both very overrated.
Do you like Wally?
Interesting.
Yeah, I like Wally.
I think Wally's overrated. I get some people don't
I
appreciate
can
that
agree with
opinion,
that.
but
I think
I,
Wally
I
struggles because
I feel
it's
like I
like
see a lot of rankings that have Wally always like top three.
yeah,
it's
see,
not top
it's not
three.
even in top my. I don't think it's in my
Yeah.
top 15.
Damn.
It's just the truth. I'm sorry.
I mean,
That
I
and
think
Cars 2. People hate my Cars 2 opinion, but that's come
Wait,
on.
what is your Cars 2 opinion?
Oh boy, I may have set myself up. Another hot take. More bonus hot takes. I think Cars 2 is not exactly worthy of a full feature length film. I think Cars 2 would have been better. You know how they turned
wait,
like
your hot
Mater's.
take is that you don't like Cars 2?
I don't like Cars 2.
That's
I
not
th
a hot take at all, brother.
I think that's a
That's what
popular.
I
That's a
thought. That's what I
That's a
thought.
popular take,
But
yeah.
I made a video about not liking Cars 2 on Instagram, and
No,
it
see,
shot
here's
up to like 400,000 views and thousands of people saying they no longer trust my opinion because I don't like
here's the
Cars
thing.
2.
it's those
Cars
small
2,
communities that just burst in the comments out of
yep.
nowhere.
It's
Cars 2 is
crazy.
weird because it has like a cult of people who love Cars 2.
I blame the Escape podcast.
My boy
Maybe.
Alex.
And they're very like this like Cars 2 fan like
Yeah.
cult is like they're very passionate about it too, but like they're the only people and they're not big. They're just like so passionate. But like Cars 2 is a bad movie and like it is a very popular opinion to say that.
They truly made me feel like I was going to be canceled. Like I was panic. I was like
Oh,
sweating. I was like, I could not keep up with the amount of hate I received for not liking Cars 2. And it made me question my life a little bit, but I'm sticking. I stood my ground.
that's fair. My hot take is that I've never seen Star Wars. It's not even a hot take. It's just
Ah,
my
it just
bad person,
hurts.
my
It just
bad
hurts.
character trait that people hate me for.
Well, I don't hate you. I honestly, I kind of envy you.
I watched the first one for the first time, but it was good. I just haven't watched the other ones.
One day you will. And I can't
Maybe.
wait. Blake, what you got for us?
All right. Well, my go-to hot take. I know you guys aren't huge with the horror community, but with the Halloween franchise is my favorite franchise. And the hot take for me within that franchise is that I think Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, the one without Michael Myers, is a great movie and is easily a top 3 movie within that whole franchise out of 13 movies.
There's a Halloween movie without Michael Myers.
There certainly is.
That just kind of I can see why that's a hot take because I
Yeah.
that just feels wrong to me.
Yeah. Funny enough, I bought this at MegaCon. It's an artist made this. He makes like these cups, and this is a Halloween 3 art design.
That was
Some
dope.
characters there. So basically, it's more, it's a more of a supernatural themed movie. I really love the concept of it. Yes, I will agree that there are some like, forced romance in there. Not the best of acting from some characters, but overall, I love the movie. I love the music. It is also the last time that John Carpenter had a hand in the production until the 2018 Halloween. So he didn't direct. John Carpenter didn't direct Halloween 3, but he was very much, had his hands in it, working on the music, was working on the pre-production, post-production. So it still had a very John Carpenter feel to it. And it's just something different. And my hot take is that I love it. I love it. And it does not have good reviews.
But I respect that. I respect that a lot. I haven't seen any of the Halloween movies,
Also,
but I need
practical
to.
effects, the practical effects were amazing for 1982 movie. Visual effects, the CGI, not too great, but the practical effects were amazing.
Is it better or worse than the original Dune movies? Those effects.
So visual effects better. So I watched that the other night and that was abysmal. But there were some good practical effects in that original Dune movie that were pretty gross. And I'll give it that. But as a movie as a whole, I'll take Halloween 3 any day of the week. Like I couldn't believe what I was watching when I went and saw that original Dune movie. Jesus.
Yeah, I've seen some of the clips circulating on TikTok and like the sandworm. I've seen the
It's as
sandworm
bad.
clip,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, that's fine. But the one
He's
that
on a
really sent
sandworm.
me.
He's on a sandworm and there's not even a fan blowing in his face. His hair's not moving at all.
The
I saw.
common sense wasn't common sensing on set that
No.
day. But the clip that really sends me is when I don't honestly like I'm questioning. I haven't seen the original Dune, so I'm still questioning if this is real. So you're gonna have to
Okay.
make this official for me. But is it when they press their wrist and they have those like shields?
Yeah.
Is that like, if you know what I'm talking about, is that real? With where it just looks like a bunch of yellow blobs just like running into each other.
Yeah, that's in the movie.
Ah, dear Lord.
Yeah, no, that wasn't some YouTuber who added those effects.
Oh,
That
dear
is
Lord.
that is real. That is
Dear
real.
Lord. I can't believe that. Dan, you
Yeah.
gotta look that up. Just look up Dune
Reminds me of
Just
1984
just
fights.
look like Dune 1984 Roblox.
it reminds me of like those like cuts of like Madam Web that I like keep seeing, and it's so unbelievably like believable where I'm like, is this an actual scene from a movie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel so bad for Dakota Johnson. Her
I don't feel bad
comments.
for it.
I
I
don't
feel
know
like
if
she
you.
knew like
Well, she knew, but like I don't know if you guys saw her comments. Like, I think it was maybe yesterday or the
Yes.
day before
Hmm.
about how like she's never gonna do something like that again.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
think
Um,
here
it
I
was
guess this
so
is my hot take.
different before.
Here's my thing though. She should have known better. like you can't like I'm not gonna feel bad for her when like she read the script because I think I'm not gonna lie, and maybe this is wrong and like if I am wrong, please prove me wrong and I'll accept that I'm wrong. But like from all the interviews I saw with her, like I think she just assumed that like this was an MCU movie. The MCU creates all the big stars. She's like, oh, if I do an MCU movie, it'll be really big. Like she just like she didn't do her research. Like she just like heard Marvel movie and was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
It makes me
Nah,
question what Sydney Sweeney was also talking
Sydney
about.
Sweeney was on the same boat. They both thought this was a Marvel movie, an MCU
Yeah.
Well,
movie.
she kind
And
of
like
like doubled down on it too, because like what was it, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, she was asked at like an award show about like her future in the MCU, and she's like,
and she's like,
"Oh,
I can't
there's
wait to
something
see myself
brewing.
with
I
all
can't
this
talk about it yet,
universe.
though."
Yeah.
And I was
oh
like, "Can you not
boy.
talk about it because you don't? There's nothing to talk about,
Uh-huh.
or
Well, she was
like, what
like
do you think
she
is
was also
happening?"
in another interview. She was like, "Oh, I can't wait to see myself in this universe and blah blah." And it was like, like, does she know?
I really
Does
don't
she
think they knew
know?
what they were getting into.
is the MCU in the room with us?
But how could you not though?
Yeah.
Like you like I don't know.
Right. It's like, how could you not know? Especially with the history of Sony's other Marvel movies.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
like at
know.
least
I
like
feel like
Google like Madam
there's
Web MC
Yeah.
like you should find out like okay, this is not in the MCU. I don't want to be a part of this. Also, like all the Sony movies are bad. Like they should have known better.
I mean, there is also like a level of, and I think Joe Russo is the one talking about this. And I think he was right. He was mentioning like when movies are written, the screenwriting process, they make it that far for a reason. And I think initially the scripts are better.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
just, it's just like when the writing comes off as bad, I don't necessarily think that's totally the screenwriter's fault.
Sure.
Um,
I don't know anything about film production, but like I could be wrong in all my
Maybe,
claims.
maybe it was just how the way the
it
actors were kind
just
of directed to convey
or
the
how things were
script, or
changed totally. But like
yeah,
it's totally possible. Like if you're an actor and you're reading a script, you can think it's the greatest thing ever,
right,
and then it's like you're tunnel visioned, you know.
right.
And so
I
I don't
think
know.
too that
It's an
kind of
interesting
just,
process.
I guess too that can just kind of show you what can separate, you know, the greats, the great actors from,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
100%.
But like you always hear in movies like, oh, like this XYZ star left because they had like disagreements with the script. So, stuff like that.
yeah.
So I'm just
Yeah,
like, why didn't that happen here?
I
Like I feel
guess
like
I
like
guess
I feel like
awareness is a big part of
yeah.
being an actor.
Like I feel like if Denzel was giving me that monologue at the very end of Madam Web, I would have been a little more intrigued, but
Like I'll
I
say this,
think if
like
Denzel did anything, I'd be more intrigued.
yeah.
I feel like maybe I might be just me making stuff out of my ass right now. But like let's say if Florence Pugh was approached for Madam Web instead of
Hmm.
Dakota, I don't think she would have gone through with it. Like I think she's a very like huge actor. She's very talented. She's been in the industry long enough. She's a huge professional. I think she would have figured it out, being like, this movie's awful. I'm not gonna do this to myself. Like I'm gonna go, I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong, and I hope that I am wrong. But like, I'm
Yeah,
suspicious.
I mean,
I see what you're
it's
saying
hard to
though.
say. I see what you're saying too. It's just hard to say.
Yeah,
I don't know. Has Dakota Johnson been in anything recently before Madam Web? Because I don't remember
she
anything
was
she's
known
done in
from
between like 50 Shades of Grey and
yeah,
Madam
50
Web.
Shades of Grey is her like biggest big thing.
So I don't know. Maybe there's just a
She
level
was
of
in
like,
that bad times at El Royale or something. That was like 2017 though. It was like a thriller movie.
I mean,
but even then, like
she's not an
2017.
S like she's not an S star actor. She's not even an A star. Like she's probably like what B, maybe C, D, C, B at best.
Yeah, that's a B.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It may have just been one of those things. Like for your example with Florence. I mean, Florence is.
She's
I
an
mean, I
S.
feel like
She's definitely S tier.
she's still relatively new. I think.
She is, but she's like one. She is a new actress, but like
Hmm.
she's like blown up. Like she's like
Yeah,
Right.
blown up just as much as like Timothée Chalamet is.
Totally.
yeah.
But
She's just ascending so fast.
she doesn't necessarily, I guess, maybe think about, oh, what's going to help me take the next step because she already got there, she can afford to
Right.
do things just because she enjoys it, not really necessarily caring like how it propels her.
But maybe
Dakota
she's like,
Johnson may not be in that boat. So
yeah. I just feel like I don't know. It's from all the interviews I saw. Like there was this one interview, and it was like they're like the interview was like here's the Madam Web comic book. Like how did it feel to put this on the big screen? And then she looked at the comic book and she was like, oh
yeah,
yeah.
she
She didn't
definitely
know
had
what to
some
think of it.
she had some
Yeah, like she
answers.
just like had like it just was so like maybe she was like doing it sarcastically as a meme, but it was like she clearly just didn't do her research and like like
Oh, you
of course
guys,
I want to say this again. Maybe I'm wrong because I don't work in film or anything, but like if I'm getting hired in a comic book movie, I'm gonna look up the character. Like I'm gonna
I don't think you're wrong because the first thing that's coming to my brain is her trying to name all the Spider-Man movies that came before,
yeah, like
and
she like
that hurt,
I think
especially
she just heard
considering at one point
Marvel
Tom
and
Holland
was
was
like I
potentially
could
going to be in
become a
that.
huge.
Yeah,
Oh, Tom
I
Holland
think you're right.
was leaving. Yeah, I think she just heard Marvel movie and she was like, "Oh, I could become a huge star if it started Marvel movie." And that like
Yeah, I
It was a Marvel movie with the catch. It's Sony.
just was association with Marvel.
Yep.
Well, speaking of kind of mega stars, um, and the S category of actors, I feel like this is a good time to kind of bring up the Oscars, the Academy Awards, which is coming up this weekend.
Hmm.
When the nominees were announced about a month ago, I mean, social media blew up. There was a lot of outrage, a lot of like snub talk, who didn't get nominated, who did get nominated. So I feel like with the week like lead ending with the Oscars Sunday night, we should kind of get into the biggest Oscar snubs we feel like, whether it's in the
Hmm.
animated film category, best director, best actress, wherever you guys want to go. I feel like the biggest one that most people are talking about is Margot Robbie not being nominated for best actress and Greta Gerwig not being nominated for best director. What do you guys think about that?
I I think Greta Gerwig definitely was snubbed, and she 100% should have been nominated. 100%.
Mhm.
However, I don't feel the same about Margot Robbie. Not to say like she didn't do it. She had an amazing performance, but like I don't know. Like I think that like Barbie was a very good movie, and it was like it deserves all the credit that it gets. But like I think a lot of that was because of Greta Gerwig. I think she definitely like made the movie the, as well as it is. I don't think I can attribute it as much to Margot Robbie, which is why like I wouldn't be upset if she was nominated. Like I'd be like, okay, cool, yeah, like that's good. But I'm also like I'm not upset that she wasn't, just because I'm like, like I don't think she was that much of a stick out for the movie.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Greta Gerwig 100% should have been nominated. She should have honestly probably been a contender to win.
Yeah, she 100% should have been.
Um, so she should have been nominated. I mean, the world they created, the way that it was presented, and the way it flowed, the way it was written. I mean, everything about it just is a credit to Greta Gerwig and her whole
Yeah,
team. And I think also, I think Margot Robbie deserves more credit in the sense of the movie being made and how it was made than the credit she deserves actually performing in the movie. Because
right.
I mean, there's no one's bullshitting. Margot Robbie is an incredible actress,
Yeah, no, she's phenomenal.
but I
I just
just feel
like
like there's like
watching the
six other
movie,
movies I can name that she
yeah,
is so much better in.
breathtaking. I don't think I watched when I watched Barbie. I don't think there was a single time where I was like, "Wow, Margot Robbie killed." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, no,
I
a
was
hundred
more.
percent,
There was
a hundred
moments where I
percent.
was like, "Wow, this set design is incredible," or like, "Wow, this is really creative." Which is all attributed to Greta Gerwig. But like, yeah, I'm just not upset that Margot Robbie wasn't nominated.
Well, I
I
mean, they
Go
did
ahead,
get
Blake.
production design
Yep.
nominations on that. I don't think I
That's
was
true. Yeah,
really as much surprised about Greta or Margot not getting nominated as surprised as I was that America Ferrero was nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
that's true. I was surprised about that. I was like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. So, from an actor side of things, I think there's a lot that you can study from America's monologue. But to me, it's kind of like goes into a little bit of like Zac Efron not getting nominated for Iron Claw.
Uh-huh.
I don't necessarily think 2 minutes in a movie should make or break you, right? And
I
so
agree.
the 2 minutes that America Ferrera delivered that monologue was great. But was it really like an Oscar defining thing? I don't necessarily think so.
I mean, no, you look at the other nominees in that category, and I mean, I think again, I don't like being mean or anything, but I just think the other nominees just had much better performances and had a much more significant role in their movies. I mean, it doesn't even matter because I think supporting actress Divine Joy Randolph has that in the bag no matter what.
100%.
So, but yeah, I was definitely shocked that she got nominated more so than that Margot and Greta didn't because at the end of the day, Barbie still got like 8 nominations, including, even though Greta and Margot didn't get their singular nominations, their names are still getting attached to those other nominations,
Yeah.
Yeah,
including
for
with Best
sure.
Picture and,
For sure.
Margot being a producer on it.
Yeah,
So
she's
her
gonna
name
get
is,
if
yeah,
it wins, she'll get an Academy Award.
right, right.
Just
So
unfortunate that it's Oppenheimer year.
I would
Yeah,
sweep it.
Oppenheimer's gonna
Yeah,
sweep. It is gonna sweep.
But
yeah.
yeah, okay. I'm glad we agreed that because like honestly, I was going into this and I was like, I don't know if that was another hot take. It was one of those things where the internet was kind of going off, and I just kind of felt
Right.
like
I think it
it's
was
like,
just
am I wrong
more.
thinking this?
No, I think it was just more ironic in the sense that
hmm
like Ryan
I get,
Gosling
yeah, I
in
can see
this
that.
like in the
Right.
theme of the movie and everything about the movie, the fact that Ryan Gosling, like I don't, when you hear the Barbie movie, your mind goes to three things: Ryan Gosling, when it comes to people, Ryan Gosling, Margot Robbie, Greta Gerwig, and
Right.
out of those three, the only one who I think individually got a nominee was Ryan Gosling. So it's just like,
Right.
which he deserved it. I don't know, I do think he
Eh,
deserved it because he had an amazing, he did have an amazing performance in it. So I
Yeah.
do
I
think
think
his nominee is justified, but it is very ironic.
I think he was amazing. I don't know if
I
he
don't think he's gonna
necessarily
win, but
deserved an Oscar for it or not nomination for it. I don't know.
yeah,
It's tricky.
it is tricky because it's really interesting when we just have never seen this before because, it is also a lot of comedic themes in this movie as well. And
hmm
so it does
yeah,
get tricky when you start to include like, comedic movies, which is something that the Academy has never really given props
Honored.
to. Like, honestly, I
Yeah.
feel like if Barbie came out even 5 years ago, it wouldn't have gotten the nominations that it has. But I think just with how big of a trend like Barbie was and bringing people to the theaters and like also looking at it from a business standpoint from the academies, you give Barbie these nominations, yeah, it's probably going to bring up viewership for your award show as well.
Oh yeah, Ken. I mean, Ryan
that's fair.
Gosling performing "I'm Just Ken," and I think that
Yeah.
it came in
Yeah, it's
today
a
that it's
marketing.
going to be the biggest original song performance in Academy
Yep.
history. I think
Yep.
they have like over 65 performers with Ryan Gosling. I think that's what I
Hmm.
just read. So I mean, that alone maybe a little bit of a strategic move there by the Academy,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely view Barbie as a great ensemble film.
Okay.
And so I don't, to me, with like ensemble films, I don't necessarily think, not that like anyone is in the movie like isn't great because they are great. I mean, that's ensemble films work because everybody has to bring their best to it and what's best for the, the
Hmm.
film. So Barbie is a great ensemble film, but because of that, I don't necessarily see like individual people sticking out. Like I don't think this movie works without that entire group they have, and that kind of goes
Right.
into my other big Oscar snub that I saw a lot of people talking about, the Iron Claw, an incredible movie. I
Yeah.
love the Iron Claw, but I don't
Yeah.
necessarily think Zac Efron deserves an Oscar because I think the one scene that really felt like kind of he pushed his limit a little bit, and I don't even think he really pushed any of his limits, judging by what I've seen him before. But the one movie where he maybe took a step above everyone else in the cast was that last 30 seconds of the
No
movie.
spoilers.
No spoilers. No, I'm not spoiling. I
No
promise.
spoilers.
But it
I
was like the last bit of it. But everything else, I felt like it was all a contributing thing with the entire ensemble.
right. I think the thing is too is if there was going to be a movie though that he would
It would have
get an
been that.
Oscar nomination, it would have been this one. I think I was honestly more upset about the Iron Claw not getting maybe a Best Picture nomination
I think it should have 100%.
instead of a Zac Efron personally. Um,
hmm
because there are a few movies in the Best Picture category that I think I would replace over with. My least favorite in that entire list of the Best Picture nominees was Maestro, and I think there's several movies that
Yeah.
could be in the in that category over Maestro.
I honestly, and this isn't to say this movie doesn't deserve an Oscar nomination because I think it does. Like every nomination it has, it deserves. But I
Hmm.
actually personally enjoyed Iron Claw more than the holdovers.
Okay.
So I
I
know that may
mean,
be a
I
little bit
mean
of a
that
take, but I
I could see
and I
that
don't think
though.
it's like a bad thing because again, holdovers deserves its
Yeah.
nomination. I'm not saying it shouldn't be nominated, but to me, I felt like, oh, if holdovers is nominated, Iron Claw should be nominated.
Right.
And I know
Right.
there you can't really compare the two, but that's just
Yeah. No, I think in my
how my brain works.
rankings of I think in my ranking of the my top 10 movies of 2024, I think I had The Holdovers at 6 and The Iron Claw at 5. Just because again, it goes back to the point where like how just movies can hit on a personal level different for some people, you know. I did grow up in a very sports household, so growing
Yeah.
up with a brother, I went to go see the movie with my brother. So yeah, it does hit in a certain way as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an only child, but my wife, she was like, and I don't want to spoil it, especially for you, Dan. But
You can spoil. I'll probably not watch it.
well, I don't want to spoil for anyone listening who's like intrigued either. But if I think this movie in a special place for siblings.
Yes.
And as an only child, that's something that I couldn't 100% connect with, but I can recognize it because it was just displayed
Yeah.
so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Iron Claw definitely deserves his flowers. But, and I agree, if there was a movie Zac Efron would have been nominated, it probably would have been the Iron Claw. But
Yep.
I think Zac Efron is incredible, and I have no doubt in my mind he will eventually get there. I think he just needs to kind of commit to those types of movies, I guess.
Yeah, and I just love to see that he is getting praise though.
Hmm.
So that is good
Oh
to
yeah,
see.
for sure, for sure. Okay, another snub I saw. This one's definitely on the lighter side of things, but in the best animated film category, a lot of people were a little bit heated that Elemental got an Oscar nom,
Uh-huh.
but TMNT did not. And I
Yeah.
saw a lot of takes about like, oh, of course the Academy Award has to put in a Disney film and all this and that. And listen, if that was the case, Wish would have been nominated, but Wish didn't even get an original song nomination. I
Got some
personally
Golden
think
Globe ones.
it did, but well, yeah. But the my personal opinion is Elemental is arguably a top five, maybe top five's a stretch, but definitely a top 10 Pixar film, in my opinion. And all these other films that Pixar's put out that it competes with in my brain that did win the award, I feel like it makes sense that it is in this category. And I love Elemental significantly more than I enjoyed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Interesting.
I thought it was beautifully animated, but to me when I was watching TMNT, I was like I was thinking about how great the voice acting performances were, but I felt like story wise, it didn't really
TMNT
feel
is
like
more of a
anything
like
special.
turn off your brain, watch like
Yeah, it's like I didn't really think it was anything necessarily special. I didn't even think it was the best TMNT movie.
for me, I think like TMNT and Elemental, like either one could have been nominated, and like
Mm-hmm.
I think they could. They're like I think they're interchangeable. I wouldn't. I think
I
they're
don't think
both just
Elemental is
as
going to win,
good.
just to be clear.
We all. I mean, no, it's either Across the Spider Verse or the called the
The boy in the
Boy in
Heron.
in the
Boy and
Heron.
Heron.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think Elemental's top 10. That's crazy. I think it's like I think it's good. I think it's like one of the better modern Pixar movies.
Listen,
Uh,
it passed my 3 movie tests. I watched it 4 times, and I still felt like
Damn.
I still put it in my top 5. Actually, I think it's
it's
my
just
number
like I
5.
think like Elemental to me, like it was very good. I think it was very like forced, like they were like really trying to get like a very abstract film out there, like which they usually like which like classic Pixar is known for, but like they were
Mhm.
trying so hard, like fire, water. What if they interact? It's like they were like it just seemed like they were like really, really like desperate to capture like classic Pixar film. And I'm an immigrant myself, so like
Yeah,
watching the movie like about immigrants was like, I was like, oh, okay, like I can see how this is, but like I don't know, it just like felt very like very desperate to capture like classic Disney, classic Pixar feelings, which it was still a good movie. I liked it more than I thought I would, but like I don't think it's top 15. Um,
I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really give too much input.
all right, Blake,
yeah.
you're going to be the deciding factor. You got to go home, watch it, let us know for
You
sure.
what I feel like what I'm surprised more people are not talking about is that the fact that the Mario Brothers movie was not nominated.
Oh, I don't think it should have been nominated at
I
all.
don't think it should have won. Well, I think personally, I mean, like I get it. Like it's not like it's a very, very simple film. It has like no message, no theme. But the fact that it was like it is revolutionary in the sense of like, I mean, I guess you could argue Sonic was the same thing, but I'm saying like Mario was the first like completely CGI animated video game movie that was successful. And like because
That's
of
true.
Mario, now we're seeing like we're getting the Zelda movie, we're gonna get the Minecraft movie. We're getting all these video game movies, which 10 years ago, when you hear a video game movie, you're like, we don't need this because we know it's gonna be bad, you know? And I think you could make the argument that the Sonic movie started this, which is fair, which is a fair argument, but like the Mario movie, like I think they nailed it for because the Sonic movie really only sold it to like a Sonic fans and like a good group of people of like nerds. But the Mario movie was successful for like everyone, families, the general audience. I mean, it was the most successful, highest grossing movie of the year, the box office. Like the
Hmm.
Mario movie showed that like you can make a video game movie and it can be like a insane success from the box office. So like I understand why it didn't get nominated because it's not like this deep, rich story, but like it has an achievement that I don't think is not getting praised enough for.
Well, and I think that's where it can get tricky too. Is like, okay, do we nominate a movie because of how successful it was? And I feel like
Right.
that has been some people's argument with Barbie too. Is like because it was, such an achievement. It was so successful. It did captivate so many people. Okay, we got to put it in Best Picture then.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it should get nominated because it was successful, but
Right.
I
it
mean,
is
if that
genuinely
logic, No Way Home, all those movies should
Right. Right.
would have
no,
won.
no. Here's my argument.
I
Here's my argument against Mario though, because people are saying like, oh my God, like it's the story is so like simple, like it is not deep at all. And I'm
I
just like,
enjoyed it a lot.
well, here's my
thought it
thing.
was
I'm like,
fun.
that's just authentic. Like Mario is like Mario is not
Right.
some deep, rich like story. Like
No,
if
not at
you
all.
play any of the
Right.
video games, like it's so simple. It's get
Yeah.
from A to B, course world to world. Like it is so simple.
Yeah.
If they did make Mario this like really misunderstood protagonist, it'd be like bad. Like it shouldn't be that. So like,
Yeah.
you
And they did on a surface level, but not like too deep.
yeah, and like it's just like I think like it was insanely. It doesn't get enough credit for how well and authentic of an adaptation of a video game adaptation they did. They nailed it. Like as a video game adaptation, which is still a very very new like genre of movies.
Hmm.
Yeah, I listen. I will give Mario this because like I said, I did have fun. Like I enjoyed it when I watched it in theaters. I think that success comes from the amount of care they put into it. I mean, there's a lot for everybody who has been a dedicated fan for so long.
I grew up with Nintendo. Like I used to be a huge Nintendo fan. Like seriously, my whole life. And like watching the movie, I was like, man, this is a love letter to Nintendo, but not in the way of like non-Nintendo fans can't enjoy it. Like it captured both audiences. So like
Hmm.
I don't know. I just feel like sure I understand why it didn't get nominated, but I don't know. I feel like it's getting too much hate for it being so simple and yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Well, lastly, I think before we wrap things up, do you guys think Across the Spider-Verse should win Best Animated Film?
Yes.
No. Oh.
Oh, oh.
Oh.
I don't know.
That was
And
funny.
I've been suspecting that the boy and the heron for some like is gonna snag these awards from Across the Spider-Verse because I did predict it, even though I wanted Across the Spider-Verse to win at the Golden Globes. I did predict the
Hmm.
boy and
The
the
Academy
heron
likes
to
Studio
win.
Ghibli more than like Marvel.
Right, right. And then, maybe this being the last Miyazaki film, okay, then we're gonna give him the awards as well. Uh, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I think I've seen a few other people on Letterbox have the same opinion. I just couldn't really fully dive into the boy and the heron.
I mean, I was kind of with you. I tried, and
Yeah.
it just wasn't. It just
It just
didn't
wasn't for me. It was beautiful
for me.
animation,
Yeah,
but I don't know, it just wasn't for me. Just wasn't for me. So,
yeah. I mean, I think Across the Spider-Verse, like on so many levels, it's almost a perfect film. But there's some levels where it's not because I mean, yes, the argument that's Across Spider-Verse is a big setup film. I think that's a fair argument.
mhm.
And I think it's gonna Across Spider-Verse will be viewed. I think the view of Across Spider-Verse will be changed drastically by how Beyond the Spider-Verse is. And I think it's kind of like I think those two movies will forever be connected, and I don't know if that
Yeah.
does Across Spider-Verse any favors in the Academy world. But also, Across Spider-Verse being a sequel doesn't do it any favors because traditionally the
Yeah.
Academy doesn't really
Right.
favor sequels. I mean, I think there's like what
Until we get Doom Part 2.
until part
Yeah.
that is true. Part two should do
Yeah,
very, very well, and it
it
absolutely
should.
deserves to.
Yeah.
But I don't really know how many sequels actually
Right.
won. I think in the animated space, and I'm sorry to tell you this, Dan, I think Toy Story 3 was the only
Oh, I
one.
know that. Because they
Mhm.
like the last scene, and that's um. Now I 100% agree with you. The reason I said no is because like I like Across the Spider-Verse more than Into the Spider-Verse. Like I do, and I love that movie. It's just like
Hmm.
the fact that it's a setup movie. Like you can't really make it. Like you even now, like you can't make 100% concrete like review of the movie because we don't know parts,
We don't
beyond
know
the
how
Spider-Verse yet.
successful it
Yeah,
will
because
be. Yeah.
it's so tangible in the second part. Also the fact that it is like a very, very, very heavily like, you know, fan, what's it called? Like, it's a very like happy movie for Marvel fans, Spider-Man fans, and
Yeah.
all that. So like
Totally. Totally.
all these things are just like being like, yeah, it's not gonna win.
I
I
still
honestly
believe.
I'm a little surprised they even got nominated for all these factors. Like I think they just did it because they knew that if they didn't nominate it, they'd get like so many like
Oh
angry
yeah.
fans.
Well, I think it came down to is like, do we nominate Spider-Verse or do we nominate Wish?
Or TMNT. I
Or
don't think
TMNT. Well,
I
I
think
don't know. I don't think. I mean, Spider-Verse, like we said, it's a incredibly well-made film,
yeah.
so it definitely deserves it. But
I think I'm more upset that it didn't get best score. I'm
that
more
it
upset.
should have, a hundred
Yeah.
I
percent,
am
a
way
Yeah.
more
hundred
passionate about
percent.
That's
that. Like
insane.
it should have
Uh,
won. Honestly, that score, like
Absolutely.
I still listen to it to this day. Like I'm much more upset about that. Like
insane.
if it got nominated for best score and it didn't even get animated, I'm so happy. Like I'm not complaining.
Yeah, a
That
hundred
yeah.
percent with you right there.
Like I love John Williams, but Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny,
No,
that's what we're gonna put in
Crazy.
there.
I honestly
Yeah.
like. I can't even think of anything from Indiana Jones besides like the classic theme, which
Right, right,
shouldn't be a reason why the fifth movie in that franchise
right.
gets the edge over what Across Spider-Verse did. I mean,
That score was insane.
it's wild.
Come on, like
And
it's like
it took TikTok by storm too.
it did. It's like it's
Yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm curious. I'm very curious how Beyond Spider-Verse does. I'm very curious about how Dune Messiah does because
Yeah.
it's kind of wild. I just said that I think Across the Spider-Verse actually is a better 1-2 punch than other franchises like 1-2, like their first and second movie. I can't speak to
Right.
the trilogy side of things, but
I still think Into the Spider-Verse is better than Across the Spider-Verse.
I agree with you. And that's why I think
And
comparing it to
I mean I
Dune's going
love
to be really
both.
interesting because
Right.
I think Across the Spider-Verse doesn't make Into the Spider-Verse better, but Dune Part
Right.
2 makes Dune Part 1 significantly better in my opinion.
Mm.
I see what you're
And
saying. I mean, I
in
see what you're saying.
three
And I
hits,
yeah.
it's gonna be hard to argue.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
like the Cross the Spider-Verse just better than Spider-Verse 1, just for the mere fact, which is not their fault, where it's like, we've already had so many Spider-Man origin movies where like,
Yeah,
that was just what being able to watch Across Spider-Verse and we could like not have all that, like was really good for me, and like I really like that.
I
But
think it's the. I
not
mean,
their
for me,
fault.
it's just the setup. It's just the setup aspect of it. It's
So,
like I can't fully say it's better than Into the Spider-Verse until I know how well it blends with Beyond.
yeah.
Which, if that's, I don't even know if that's actually fair or not, but that's just kind of like how
No,
my
I think
brain
that's fair
works.
because it's like there's well, I don't know. I think people don't talk about it enough, but like you can argue like of course Miles' story arc in that movie is still not finished because it's waiting for the third movie. But like
Hmm.
Hmm.
what they compensated with that is that they give like a full story arc, a beginning and an end to Gwen Stacy. Like literally the first scene in the movie, like it sets up like Gwen's story arc, and it finishes with her completing her character arc, and it's just like that was their answer. Is like, okay, yeah, we don't want to upset people by having this loose end story. So since we can't finish this Miles story, we're gonna have a complete story with the character of Gwen Stacy. So in a way, you can you can watch the movie and be like, this is Gwen's movie. Beyond the
I
Spider
never
Verse,
thought of it that way.
Miles. Like it is a
Yeah,
complete Gwen Stacy movie if you look at it from that perspective, which is like it is satisfying. I mean, you can watch Cross the Spider from beginning and end, and you get a complete story, 100% with Gwen Stacy, which is good.
that kind of worries me for the third one with Gwen Stacy.
Oh, she might get bopped, but yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. Well, I think that's everything we kind of had planned today. Again, thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I know Michael really appreciates it, and he's sad he couldn't be here. Um, but I think I had a great time just talking with you guys.
Absolutely.
This
Happy
episode
to
is
be
going to
here.
be titled Movie Friends because I think Movie Friends is a cool thing. It's definitely been my shtick, and
That's
I don't
like
know.
did you
I'm
ever watch
grateful that you,
did you
what's
ever watch
that?
Dexter's Lab?
Is that a question? Of course I
That's
am.
well, that's like the Justice Friends, like the mock of like the
Oh
Justice.
yeah. But anyway, I think first I'll just say this. I think you two are both incredible at what you guys do. Which is even more so
Thank
why I
you.
appreciate what you guys hopping on because I definitely I mean you guys are absolutely killing it. And I on many levels look up to what you guys are doing and I know Blake, like you mentioned, or we talked a little about this before, but you just had an incredible interview with the Avatar cast. Dan,
Hmm.
you were just at the Kung Fu Panda 4 premiere, which I know you've been working for a long time.
Oh, that's sick.
I just
Yeah, that's
like
awesome.
I love what you guys are doing, and I'm grateful to call you guys my movie friends 100%. If you guys
No,
like this type of episode, be sure to let us know. Sorry I cut you off there, Blake.
oh no, you're good. I was just gonna say, yeah, it's just awesome to see like the friends and little community that, TikTok has brought us. And it's always a great time just, we're just sitting here chatting about movies. What can be better than that?
Exactly, exactly. And I do hope we can kind of build on this going forward and let this be a thing. But I mean, everyone who's listening, whether you're here from Dambo's page, Blake's Takes page, Big Screen Bearcon, or if you're just a fan of Starlog, um, which believe it or not, we do have some we appreciate. I know we're still new, but regardless, let us know what you think. We can definitely do more of these in the future. Maybe it can be on a different platform under a different name. We'll see. That's all up in the air. Regardless, we appreciate that you guys took the time to listen. I appreciate y'all's time again.